I had a patient walk into my office last year who hadn't fallen asleep before midnight in 26 months. 26 months. And in that time, she'd seen 3 doctors, been prescribed 2 different medications, and not a single one of them had asked her to describe what she does between 8 and 10 p.m. That one question, what are you doing in the 2 hours before you try to sleep, would have solved this in a week. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that question matters more than any pill. I'll call her Sarah, late 30s, works in marketing, exercises regularly, no major health issues. On paper, she was doing everything right, but every night was the same. She'd get into bed around 10:30, body completely spent, and her mind would just keep going. Not panicking, not spiraling, just on. Like she'd had 3 espressos, except she hadn't. She'd watch the clock, 11:15, 12, 12:45. Eventually, she'd drop off somewhere after 1 a.m. and wake at 6:30 feeling like she'd been hit by something. Her first doctor called it anxiety and prescribed an SSRI. Didn't help. Second doctor suggested melatonin, 3 milligrams at bedtime. No change. Third doctor said try meditation apps. She tried for 2 months, still awake at midnight. By the time she reached my clinic, she said something I hear constantly. I think I'm just a bad sleeper. I think this is how I'm built. She's not, and she wasn't. When I asked Sarah to walk me through a normal evening, here's what came out. Dinner around 7:30. By 8, she's on the couch with her laptop, finishing work emails. Around 9, she switches to her phone. Instagram, short videos, sometimes the news. At 10, she moves to bed and opens TikTok for just a few minutes. Phone goes down around 10:30, lights off, and then the staring begins. 3 separate things were happening to Sarah's brain during those 2.5 hours, and any one of them alone would have been enough to keep her awake. She had all 3 running simultaneously every single night, and nobody had named any of them. Here's the first. Your brain does not have an on-off switch for sleep. It has something closer to a dimmer, a hormone called melatonin, released by the pineal gland when your eyes register that light in the environment is fading. That fading light signal starts a process. Core temperature drops, heart rate slows, brain activity shifts toward the slower frequencies that precede unconsciousness. From the first release of melatonin to the point where your brain is actually ready to lose consciousness takes roughly 90 minutes to 2 hours. It's a sequence, not a moment. Now here's what Sarah didn't know. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism tested 116 healthy adults and found that ordinary room lighting, not a spotlight, not a screen, just the normal ambient light in a living room at around 150 to 200 lux, suppressed melatonin onset in 99% of participants. 99%. And it shortened the total window of melatonin activity by 90 minutes. Standard room light. The kind everyone sits in every evening without thinking about it. Add a phone screen 6 inches from your face and the suppression gets worse. Your pineal gland reads that screen and chemically concludes it is the middle of the afternoon. Melatonin doesn't get released. The dimmer switch stays locked. Sarah wasn't failing to fall asleep. The chemical process that produces sleep was never initiated. Her brain was doing exactly what any brain would do if you told it the sun was still up at 10:30 at night. The fix is specific and it works fast. 2 hours before your target bedtime, start lowering light in your room. Switch off overheads. Use a single dim lamp, warm-toned or amber bulb, kept below 50 lux. 1 hour before bed, every screen goes dark. Not dimmed, not on night mode. Off. A 2025 study from the American Academy of Pediatrics tracked 83 people across 530 nights and found that active screen use in that final hour extended the time it took to fall asleep by 84%. An extra 23 minutes of lying awake. Every night. Measured objectively. But here's what's strange. Night mode filters, the ones that tint your screen orange, barely moved those numbers. And the reason they don't work is the second thing that was happening to Sarah. And it's the part that genuinely surprised me when I first saw the data. Your phone is not just a light source. It's a dopamine delivery system. Short-form video, TikTok, Reels, Shorts, is engineered around unpredictable reward. Every swipe is a micro-gamble. Will this one be boring? Fascinating? Funny? Your brain doesn't know, and that uncertainty is exactly what drives dopamine release. It's the same neurochemical architecture as a slot machine. Scrolling in bed is putting a slot machine on your nightstand. Dopamine is not a sleep-compatible neurotransmitter. It drives seeking, alertness, forward motion, the neurological opposite of what the brain needs to power down. You can block every nanometer of blue light, and if the content is still triggering rapid dopamine surges, your brain stays in acquisition mode, alert, scanning, hunting for the next hit. A 2026 study published in Frontiers in Psychiatry surveyed over 2,200 participants and found that the single strongest predictor of poor sleep quality wasn't the type of screen, the filter used, or even total screen time. It was the gap between when the screen went off and when the person tried to sleep. The shorter that gap, the longer it took to fall asleep, and the worse the sleep quality, regardless of what filter was running. The issue isn't the color of the light, it's the state of the brain when the light goes off. Sarah's brain at 10:30 p.m. wasn't anxious. It was aroused. 2.5 hours of light exposure, plus dopamine activation, and then she asked her nervous system to reverse all of it in the time it takes to brush her teeth. No human brain makes that shift that fast. Now, some of you watching this don't scroll at night. Maybe you read. Maybe you watch something calm, and you still can't sleep. Which means there's a third system running underneath the first two, and this is the one that most people never suspect. Your body has a stress command center, the HPA axis, and it controls cortisol, the hormone that makes you alert. Cortisol follows a strict daily rhythm, high in the morning to wake you up, gradually declining through the afternoon, lowest at midnight. That decline is not optional. It's part of the sequence your brain needs to initiate sleep. Without it, you stay in a low-level state of readiness, scanning, planning, reviewing, even in a dark, quiet, perfectly comfortable room. What spikes cortisol at the wrong time? Working after dinner, checking email at 9 p.m., having a tense conversation, reading news that triggers anger or worry. Any of these activates the HPA axis and drives cortisol up at exactly the hour it should be falling. It's pulling the fire alarm as the building is trying to go to sleep. And once cortisol spikes, it takes your body 60 to 90 minutes to clear it. Spike it at 9:30, and you are chemically unable to fall asleep before 11 at the earliest. Not because of willpower, because of pharmacokinetics. The fix is a hard boundary. 2 hours before bed, all work stops. Not mostly, stops. No email, no financial planning, no difficult conversations. If the activity requires you to make a decision, solve a problem, or react emotionally, it's cortisol producing and it belongs before 8 p.m. And if your mind still loops once you're in bed, tomorrow's tasks, unresolved conversations, things you forgot, there's one technique with strong clinical evidence behind it. A cognitive dump. 1 to 2 hours before bed. Physical pen and paper. Write every open loop, every task, every worry. Everything in your working memory goes onto that page. Close the notebook. Put it in another room. You're moving your brain's RAM onto an external hard drive. The loops release because the brain registers they're stored somewhere safe. Do this on paper, not on your phone. The notifications and light will undo everything you just fixed. I want to pause here, not as someone making a video. A few months ago, I reviewed the intake notes of a woman who'd been referred to me after 9 years of broken sleep. 9 years. By the time I saw her, she had restructured her entire life around the assumption that she was a bad sleeper. She turned down evening plans. She dreaded bedtime. She described her relationship with sleep the way someone might describe a person who'd betrayed them. And when we finally traced the whole thing back, her routine, her environment, her evenings, the root cause was a work laptop open on the kitchen table until 9:45 every night. That's it. That was the engine driving the entire thing. 9 years of suffering. A laptop in a bright room. That is what stays with me. Not the complexity of the problem, the simplicity of it, and the years lost before anyone looked. Your brain was never broken. It was responding accurately to the signals arriving through your eyes and your nervous system. Light means daytime, dopamine means hunt, cortisol means danger. Those three signals were running every night right up to the edge of sleep, and then the system was asked to reverse them instantly. It can't. No one's can. But remove the signals and the sequence runs on its own. It always has. Tonight, one thing. 60 minutes before bed, put every screen in a different room, not face down on the nightstand. Gone. Dim the lights, read something on paper, and let the dimmer switch do what it was built to do. Give it 7 nights. Most patients in my practice notice a measurable shift by night 3. One note: everything here is based on current research and my clinical experience. It doesn't replace a medical evaluation. If you snore heavily, if someone has witnessed you stop breathing during sleep, or if you're excessively sleepy during the day despite enough time in bed, see a sleep specialist. That pattern suggests sleep apnea, a condition affecting roughly 39 million Americans, with 80 to 90% of cases still undiagnosed. No behavioral protocol resolves apnea. Your doctor is your partner in that.